Welcome back to the Vale Echo. Today we journey back over 4 centuries to a time when hope and fear sailed hand in hand across the vast Atlantic. The year was 1587. A massive wooden ship, battered by endless waves, finally approached the untamed shores of what is now North Carolina. The settlers aboard, men, women, and children, gazed at the wild coastline, their hearts pounding with both terror and wonder. This was the promise of a new beginning, the birth of a new world. As the ship anchored near Roanoke Island, the settlers disembarked onto soft sand, surrounded by towering green forests and the endless cries of unseen birds. Among them was their governor, John White, a man with a dream of building England's first permanent colony in the New World. With determination shining in their eyes, they began unloading crates, tools, and supplies, their footsteps marking the beginning of history. Soon, the sound of axes echoed through the wilderness. Trees fell, cabins rose, and smoke curled from small campfires as they built their wooden fort, a fragile bubble of civilization in an ocean of wilderness. But the forest seemed alive, watching. Unseen eyes followed every movement. From behind the dense foliage, members of the Croatoan tribe observed the newcomers cautiously. To the settlers, the native people were both a mystery and a necessity, potential allies or enemies. Yet in those early days, an unlikely connection formed. The colonists began to trade with the Croatoans, exchanging beads, mirrors, and metal tools for food and survival knowledge. There was laughter, curiosity, and for a brief time, peace between two worlds that had never meant to meet. But paradise was fragile. As the months passed, the settlers faced a brutal reality. Crops withered, the heat was unbearable, fresh water grew scarce, the forests once full of promise became heavy with silence. Hunger crept through the colony like a shadow, desperation soon replaced hope. John White, torn between duty and despair, knew there was only one choice left. He would return to England for supplies, for help. The colonists gathered on the beach as he prepared to leave. The wind howled across the water as waves lapped at the wooden hull. Families hugged tightly, knowing that once the ship vanished into the mist, they might never see him again. "I will return," White promised, his voice breaking against the roar of the sea. The ship pulled away, its sails catching the last rays of the sun. On shore, the settlers stood motionless, watching the horizon swallow their only link to the world they once knew. As night fell, a haunting stillness settled over Roanoke Island. The flicker of campfires cast long shadows on empty sands. They didn't know it then, but that farewell would mark the beginning of one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. 3 long years passed before Governor John White finally set sail back to Roanoke. The world had changed, England was at war with Spain, and ships were precious. Each day of delay only deepened the mystery waiting across the sea. But now, as his ship cut through a storm-tossed Atlantic, White's heart pounded with hope. Somewhere beyond the horizon, his family, his daughter, his granddaughter, little Virginia Dare, waited for his return. The voyage was brutal. Thunder split the seas and waves towered like mountains. Men clung to ropes as the ship fought the wrath of the ocean, lightning illuminating faces carved with fear and determination. Yet nothing could prepare them for what awaited when the storm finally broke and the coast of North Carolina appeared beneath the morning mist. As dawn's light touched the island, White's excitement grew. He imagined laughter, smoke rising from hearths, the familiar sound of voices calling out his name. But when the ship anchored near Roanoke, an eerie silence greeted them instead. No welcome, no movement, only the cries of gulls circling above an empty shore. The settlement that once bustled with life was now swallowed by nature. Vines curled over crumbling wooden fences. Cabins stood hollow and weathered, their doors swinging open in the wind. Campfires long cold, tools rusted, and no footprints in the sand, as if the entire colony had vanished into thin air. Then, near the entrance to the abandoned fort, White's eyes caught something carved into a weathered wooden post. One word, deep, deliberate, unmistakable, Croatoan. He froze, his heart hammered. It was the only sign left behind by his people. There was no cross, no distress mark, no bodies, only this single word, a clue and a riddle intertwined. He ran his fingers over the carving, desperate to understand. Had they gone willingly? Were they safe among the Croatoan tribe, their one-time allies? Or had something darker happened, something unspeakable? White searched the ruins, calling out into the silent trees, but the island gave no answer. The wind whispered through the leaves, carrying only echoes of a vanished world. Every cabin told the same story, plates left behind, fences unfinished, tools scattered as if life had stopped mid-motion. As night fell, fog rolled over the deserted village. The moonlight cast ghostly shadows on the empty walls, and White felt the weight of despair settle on his shoulders. His people were gone, his daughter, his granddaughter, his friends, swallowed by mystery. The ocean roared beyond the trees, mocking him with its endless rhythm. Storms brewed once again, forcing his crew to abandon the island before a deeper search could be made. With heavy heart, John White sailed away from Roanoke, the word Croatoan burned into his mind forever. And so, the shores of Roanoke fell silent, untouched, haunted, waiting. The colony that began with such promise had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only one word carved in wood and an echo that would haunt history forever. The mystery of the vanished Roanoke settlers did not fade with time, it deepened, becoming one of the most haunting riddles in American history. The word Croatoan burned in John White's mind as his ship disappeared beyond the waves, leaving behind an island swallowed by silence. For centuries, that single word has echoed through time, carrying whispers of the truth that no one could ever find. After White's departure, storms and war kept rescuers from returning for years. By the time others came, the island had changed again. Nature had reclaimed everything. Trees towered where homes once stood. The wind carried only the sound of waves against the shore. No human voice remained, yet across the water, Croatoan Island, today known as Hatteras, waited like a ghost, holding the answer that history could never reach. Some believed the settlers had found refuge with the Croatoan tribe, merging their lives, languages, and bloodlines. There were tales of native villages where pale-skinned children with English eyes played beneath the trees, and strange wooden tools foreign to the tribes were discovered in the soil. Could the colonists have survived, reborn in another culture, their English heritage lost to time? Others spoke of darker fates. Some said a sudden storm swallowed them, dragging their homes into the earth. Others whispered that they were attacked, wiped out by rival tribes or hidden forces in the forests. And still others believed something supernatural lingered on that island, something ancient that didn't welcome outsiders. Centuries passed and Roanoke became a legend. Explorers, historians, and archaeologists returned again and again, unearthing fragments of pottery, rusted metal, and tools unlike any made by local tribes. Each artifact seemed to whisper that the settlers had indeed survived for a time. But the full story remained locked beneath layers of soil, memory, and myth. In the modern era, archaeologists walk those same shores, brushing sand from relics that once belonged to the lost. Every discovery brings a spark of life back to the forgotten colony. Broken pottery, a European buckle, a rusted blade, all small, silent witnesses to a vanished people. Drones hover over the island, capturing the lush forests and the coastline where it all began, while the mist rises like a curtain over an unfinished story. As the sun sets over Roanoke Island today, the golden light glows against the trees and fog curls over the marshes like the breath of ghosts. Locals say that sometimes, when the night is still and the ocean quiet, you can almost hear faint voices carried by the wind, laughter, prayers, or maybe calls for help from across time. The colony may have disappeared, but their story refuses to die. The name Croatoan remains carved not just into wood but into the very soul of America's mysteries, an unanswered question that still whispers from the past. And so the legend lives on, a reminder that even in silence history speaks.